So again, thank you for joining us today for our monthly meditation. And we're so blessed today to have Dr. Leili First, a longtime member of the International Association of Sufism and the Sufi Women Organization. She's given lecture on Sufism at colleges and universities and presented at the annual Sufism Symposium and the Parliament of the World's Religions. And Leili served on our Marin Interfaith Council Board of Directors from 2003 to 2008. Again from 2014 to 2021, till she ran up against this thing called term limits. But we were very gracious and grateful that she served not only on our board, but also as our board president. And so just thrilled to offer this meditation tonight and this space for Leili to share her wonderful gifts and particularly her heart and presence with us. Leili, thank you for being with us and thank you for being you. And we're so grateful. Thank you.
I'm going to switch my view to gallery so I can see everyone. Can all hear me all right? Yes. So I'm so happy to see familiar faces and new faces. Thank you all so much for coming. Thank you to MIC for the inspiration and wisdom to hold these monthly meditation sessions. Thank you especially Scott and Janice for arranging all the logistics and taking care of all that annoying computer stuff and bringing all of us together. I'm really grateful for this opportunity to be able to share and introduce to all of you the teaching and practice that has been so precious to me in my life for, oh golly, at least 30 years now. So I would like to thank my teachers for allowing me to be present here with you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So welcome everyone. And as always, as MIC does during these monthly meditation events, we are bound to one another in respect for ourselves and for others, and we respect one another's privacy. Anything that's shared within this setting stays within this setting. And you may participate as you wish. When time comes at the end, actually, while I'm speaking, if you have questions, please raise your hand, or I guess you could put them in chat if I see them, but just speak up. And at the end, we'll have a little time for sharing. You are welcome to share if you wish, but there's no obligation, so it's totally up to you. And as always, in all of our lives, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. And we are all so blessed to have this short time together where each one of us has decided to focus on spirituality. So for this 1 hour, I invite all of us to let go of everything that's outside of our own selves and return, if we can, to the place of peace, tranquility, safety, and wisdom that is within us. Wisdom. So let me start with some words of wisdom from Sufi masters. First from Shanazar Sayed, Dr. Ali Kyanfar. In the heart of every human being is a direct connection with God. Our greatest blessing comes in discovering this. Again, in the heart of every human being is a direct connection with God. Our greatest blessing comes in discovering this. And Sufi master Dr. Nahid Anga tells us, in Sufism, the law of meditation follows the essential rule of self-discovery. And that happens when a seeker is attracted and attuned toward the divine. In Sufism, the law of meditation follows the essential rule of self-discovery. And that happens when a seeker is attracted and attuned towards the divine. So first, briefly, for any of you who are not familiar with what is Sufism, in its most broadest sense, most generally, it is the inner path of Islam. When we go back to the time of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, which you may be aware the Holy Quran was revealed to Prophet Muhammad, actually by the angel Gabriel, when he was in silence in a cave. And it is directly, the Quran is directly written as the word of the Creator. And in all of these years, that's ballpark, we're talking 1400 years, the words have never been changed. So there are translations, of course, for those of us who don't read Arabic, but the words have never been changed. And from the very beginning, when Prophet Muhammad lived on the earth, there were people who were very much drawn to him and drawn to know and understand the way of learning, the way of being, to become in a position to receive that direct connection, that direct revelation. And those people sat at the foot of the platform where he spoke. And they would come regularly to sit at the platform and listen. And they came from all over the world as word got around about this new teaching. And the platform is the Sufi, and the people who sat at the platform were called Ale Sufi. And it is believed that that is where the term Sufi comes from. And if you do any reading, you'll probably find a lot of other explanations of the word of Sufi, but that probably is the one that's most credible. And this is probably, just briefly, this is Owen. He came to say hi to Scott because Scott was asking about him earlier. And he's a pretty peaceful, meditative cat. He'll probably say hello and then leave. So the people who came because they felt in their hearts the longing, they were interested, they were intrigued by the teachings that were brought by Prophet Muhammad, who followed in the Abrahamic tradition from Moses, from Jesus, from the whole line of Abrahamic prophets. After the prophet passed from the earth, the people returned to their countries, they returned to their original homes, and they brought the teachings with them. And so that's how the message of Islam, and particularly the message of Sufism, which is, again, it's the inner path of Islam. It's less involved with the outward showing of practice and more involved with the inner practice, the way of knowing, the way of being. And so that has led over the centuries to the many different Sufi orders that you may be familiar with, which is like you visualize the different fragrances of the flowers, that the source is one, but it presents differently, different manifestations. And you may be familiar with, especially the Mevlevi order, of which there's a substantial group. I think they're still active in the Marin County area. They are the whirling dervishes. So part of their practice is that turning practice, which is actually a form of meditation. And it's actually very intriguing the way they do the meditation, but it is a way of connecting to that divine connection in the heart, in the center of every being that we were talking about. And for all the different Sufi orders, each one has its own particular practices that are emphasized, but meditation is part of every Sufi order's practice, along with prayer and also remembrance or zikr. There are different pronunciations because it's either Arabic or Persian. And you may be familiar with the Sufi poetry, especially the poetry of Rumi, who is the Molana, from whom comes the name Molavi or Mevlevi. The whirling dervishes follow the teachings of Rumi. And Rumi, I think, is still the best-selling poet in the world. Yes. His poetry is beloved by all kinds of people, whether you're drawn to it spiritually or because it's beautiful. Hafez is another well-known Sufi poet that many, I know I hear at our MIC meetings, many spiritual practitioners of many different traditions are drawn to the poetry of Hafez, because again, he is one who is a deeply spiritual believer. Omar Khayyam is another very well-known Sufi poet. And when you read the Sufi poetry, sometimes people will get sidetracked or confused by some of the terminology because it is very specific to this spiritual path. Wine, for example, I remember at one of our Sufism symposia years ago, we had a gentleman from a different faith tradition who was asking, do you have problems with alcoholism among the Sufi followers? Because wine is so often mentioned in the poetry. But of course, Sufis and Muslims of all kinds don't drink anything alcoholic. The wine of the poetry is the message of God. The cup is the holder, which inshallah can be your own heart. You receive the wine, which is the blessing, the truth, the gift, the message. The beloved is the Holy One, is your prophet, is the one you follow, is the one for whom you long in your heart. So I think the reading of Sufi poetry really changes when you understand some of the other metaphors that I have found very moving. The tulip has a very specific significance in the poetry and writing of Sufism. When you look, there's several things about the tulip. It's native to Iran, which is where many orders of Sufism trace their lineage. And much of the most beautiful poetry is Persian. The tulip, native to Iran, opens to the sun and closes at night. And it follows the sun. And if you look inside when the petals open, at the very center of the tulip, it's black. And that represents the burning of the heart of the lover for the beloved. The tulip following the sun, its source of life. And there's a beautiful poem about the reed, the song of the reed that is torn from the bed. And the hollow reed allows the breath of God to go through and to create the beautiful music. So there's so many, many beautiful layers and layers of meaning within the Sufi poetry. So many people enjoy it. Be sure you don't get confused and think they're all at some drunken orgy, because it's totally a different kind of drunken orgy. It is drunken with the love of God. So on to meditation. And we all know meditation actually for many years in America, certainly in this part of the country, is very popular. Lots of people like to meditate, and there are lots of good reasons for it. There are all different kinds of ways of meditation, and I think my own feeling is, on the whole, they're all useful. It is, meditations are designed for peace, for relaxation, for calming the mind, for controlling your erratic thinking, all our monkey minds and different ways we have of describing it. And every different kind of meditation has its own purpose. The goal of Sufi meditation is to find that point of connection in your own heart, very directly. Find the point of connection within your own heart. It's most often described as the point of light, which is the gift of divine light which comes into the heart. And ideally, you want to see that light. So the meditation that I'll lead you through today is the most fundamental meditation for Sufis, and it is listening to your heartbeat. And at the first level, one thing that's important and useful about listening to your heartbeat is that is the surest confirmation that you are alive. At the moment of conception, when the sperm and the egg meet, very shortly thereafter, the first organ to form is the heart. And I've forgotten how soon it is, but it's very soon. There starts to be the heartbeat. And that's the beginning of life. And of course, at the other end, when we've said and done all there is, the last thing that remains of human being, of life, is that heartbeat. And mostly, our heart takes care of itself. Our bodies pretty much take care of themselves. The breathing goes on its own without our interference, without our help. But if we still ourselves for just a moment during our busy lives, focus inside and listen, we can actually hear our own heart beating and have that absolute confirmation. We know, I am alive. We, each one of us, know we are alive. So what is needed for the Sufi meditation is that longing in your heart to have this be a successful experience. You feel a longing that you want to know yourself. You want to know you're alive. You want to know your creator. You want to see that spark of divine light in your heart. You feel a longing, and it's not here, not in your head. It's in your heart. It's something you can't deny. You can't resist. It's there. It's there. And for successful meditation, you really do need a teacher, a guide. In the path of Sufism, there's not a hierarchy. Like there's no guy with a better hat or fancy ring that has the keys to the kingdom. It's the one who's gone before, the one who's traveled that path, knows the rule, knows the pitfalls, knows where you could be sidetracked or distracted, and helps to keep you. The relation of the guide is to brush the path before you, to make your way clear, and to help protect us from ourselves. Because as probably, I know it's very much true for me, probably it's true for a lot of us, our minds are very good. And we've spent our whole lives developing our minds. Our minds are useful. Our minds are very smart. Our minds are going in a different direction, and they're very good at leading us astray. The mind is I ran into this in a computer class, of all places, learning a computer language. The mind is a useful servant, but a terrible master. If we can silence the mind, put it under the control of the heart, then we've got something good going here. The mind is a gift of God, definitely. Make it useful for us. So in our meditation practice, we want to silence the mind. Just let it rest, even you, Owen. One thing I'd really, in particular, of the teachings of Sufism that I wanted to make sure and share with you all tonight is in the teachings of Sufism, God, or creator, or energy of existence, whatever label or name might be familiar or natural to you, whatever name you would use, it is not outside of yourself. So I know even for me, and I was not brought up in any religious tradition, but even for me, when I think God, I tend to look up to the sky. And that's not useful. More useful, instead of looking up or looking out, that we should close our eyes and look within our own selves. Because that energy, the energy of creation, energy of the creator, energy of all of existence, is contained within the center of every being, especially human being. And you can visualize it like a seed. The seed that was planted even in Owen, but not quite the same. The seed that is planted within our hearts. When the teaching, and I believe it's in the Bible, I know it's in the Quran, that God breathed into the human being, gathered the clay, made the body, breathed into him with his own breath. That's the Spirit of God. That's like the seed that's planted within our heart. And like the seeds we buy for radishes or anything else, it's covered. It has a covering to protect it. So what we as human beings want to do is nurture, find the seed in our own heart, nurture it, help the seed to sprout, to break through that covering and sprout and grow and flourish. So when we look for God, rather than looking up or looking out, for Sufis, we want to look within. We want to look within our own heart. Religion is with you. It is a fact to be discovered, to be uncovered within your own heart. Because the knowledge we long for is without words. It's beyond labels, it's beyond words. It can't be explained, it can't really be shared. You have to experience it for your own self. And this energy has the potential for transformation. We can transform our earthly selves and our earthly qualities into the divine qualities, which is our gift. That's the gift of creation to every human being. So that, in a nutshell, that was, to me, the most important thing that I wanted to make sure and share with you tonight in terms of the teaching and meaning and value of Sufi practice. So before we start, I'm going to lead us through a brief heartbeat meditation, but perhaps this is a good time to stop briefly and see if there are any questions about that material before we go for experience. Hi, Stephanie. Yes, please.
Hi. Thank you so much, Leili. And I didn't catch, you were saying, I was so intrigued about the wine and the poetry and people saying, but Muslims don't drink alcohol. And you said wine represents, what was it in the poetry?
The teachings of the beloved.
Okay.
It's the divine word, knowledge, truth. That's what we aim to receive. Oh, give me your wine. Oh, wine bearer. The wine bearer is God, the beloved. To pour into my cup, which is why, too, we want to empty our cups. Empty our hearts of all the garbage we've stored in there. Empty them so we can receive the pure wine, the pure teaching, the divine eternal knowledge.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking. Anyone else have any questions before we adjourn to a brief meditation?
I do, but I am driving, so I can't raise my hand. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
And I wanted to ask this right after that question because it relates. And I don't want to stay on this topic. Lord knows we have other things to talk about, but the wine imagery and the story about, or the knowledge about not drinking, is that just the fermentation of grain and grapes, but not honey? Did I read that right, or is that not the case?
I'm sorry, did you say honey? Like
I
honey
did say honey, like mead.
I don't know of any rule against bees on honey. The reason of it is definitely for Sufis is that it makes you out of control of yourself. So that is the reason for the prohibition of alcohol. Is it just makes you well, I know in the way back olden days before I became a Sufi practitioner, I did occasionally drink alcohol, and actually I never was much of a drinker, but I do know that I noticed it. Even like one drink of something, one beer or a mixed drink or something, I could feel it in my head, and it's not useful.
Well,
So
and
that's
that would
the reason.
pertain to other substances then too.
Yes, basically it's wisdom. It's not wise to pollute your God-given body with things that are not good for you and going to make you out of control of yourself and waste a lot of time and energy.
Sure. And the last roundabout way, I'm sorry I'm taking so much time, but the last roundabout way is that I do not think, my tradition doesn't think of the Bible as a moral book, but rather as a book about relationships with God and how relationships with humans and God and the divine kind of intertwine and mingle. So there's not a lot of moral guidance the Bible gives to my tradition in the Lutheran Church. But I would take it that the Quran offers moral guidance to the Islam faith. Is that correct or not?
Actually, that's an interesting question. The Quran is considered, at least by Sufis, to be
Right.
a book for yourself, a book about yourself. Everything that's covered in there has a lesson and meaning for you. And in terms of interesting relationships versus morality, from everything that I know, I've learned and I've been taught and that I understand, if a person is truly seeking and following the knowledge of eternity, knowledge of existence, you cannot behave in a way that is not moral. That it is morality and ethics are the foundation of humanity and the foundation of relationship, whether it is your relationship with another human or with the Creator. Does that help?
It does help. It helps my understanding. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so let us move into a brief meditation experience, and then we'll have a little time at the end if there are more questions or if you have anything you'd like to share from your experience, that would be fine. And at that point, we'll turn off the recording so that everything can remain very private. So I've already told you basically what we're going to do is gather all of our energy. See, we spend all day out in the world putting our energy out. We're scattering energy all around us. We're giving it away to everyone and everything. Our eyes are drawn by things that are moving and colorful, lots of pictures. We hear lots of sounds. All of that stuff is drawing our energy away. So for our meditation, what we're going to do is bring all of our energy, and we want to focus it. We want to gather and focus, and we'll keep gathering and focusing our energy into our heart, into our chest, then into our heart specifically, because that's where we would like to put all of our attention. So to begin with, I want you please to sit comfortably. It's important that your back be straight. Other than that, if you're on a chair, you have your feet on the ground, sit cross-legged if that's comfortable for you. But you need to be that balance between being straight and being relaxed enough to where you're not thinking about it. Okay, just be comfortably straight. And I invite you to close your eyes to give yourself privacy, give others privacy. And that also helps with letting the outside stay outside. Just for now, it'll still be there when we come back. We know it. It never goes away. It's like dirty dishes. It never goes away by itself. So for this time, close your eyes with your back straight. Begin to draw your attention in towards yourself. Be aware of your breathing. Just breathe comfortably, but focus your attention on your breathing. Scan your body from your head to your feet, slowly, starting at the top, work your way down. If you find places of tension, stress, or tight muscles, breathe into it. Breathe into that achy shoulder, and then breathe out. Breathe into your fingers, breathe out. That stiff place on your back, breathe into it and breathe out. Let the tension go. All the way down your legs, all the way down to your toes. Any tension, let it go. Let your whole body be in an upright, comfortable, relaxed position. Eyes closed, mind quiet. And again, work on bringing all of your energy toward your chest and toward your heart. Not an imaginary point, but your actual physical heart. Now, with your attention on your heart, see if you can hear your heartbeat. Of course, you won't hear it through the ears on your head. Hear it with your hearing inside. Listen for your heartbeat. If you have trouble hearing your heartbeat, sometimes it helps to hold your breath for a short time. You can try that if you like. Listen to your heartbeat. If your mind is trying to distract you, just let it be. Don't go with it. Focus your attention back on your heart. Concentrate on your heart. Listen to see if you can hear your heartbeat. Prove to yourself you're alive. Listen to your heartbeat. Listen to your heartbeat. Listen to your heartbeat. your mind becomes busy with thoughts, let them melt. Focus your attention back toward your heart. Gather your energy into your heart. Listen to your heartbeat. Now take a deep breath. Hold it inside for just a moment and then slowly release. And again, another deep breath. And then gently bring yourself out of this meditation. And Scott, I think we could stop the recording now.